Let's get to a developing story all new at noon. The Saline County Sheriff's Office is looking for this man on your screen, a person of interest in a murder that happened this morning in Traskwood. Authorities say they're looking for 40-year-old Rufus McFadden. He's wanted for questioning in the shooting death of a man at a home on Highway 291 earlier this morning. Police say they found McFadden's truck abandoned at Mills Park in Bryant. Authorities say he's on parole and should be considered armed and dangerous. If you've seen him or if you know anything about this case, call the Saline County Sheriff's Office. What is starting to look like Arkansas lawmakers will not vote on redistricting this week. Today is day 3 of discussions, and right now the Senate's Public Health, Welfare, and Labor Committee is once again talking about COVID bills. Lawmakers spent most of yesterday talking about bills concerning the COVID vaccine and protections for those who do not want to get one. They were voted out of committee on Wednesday but sent back yesterday after complaints that no time was given for public comment. As we've mentioned, this special session is for redistricting, a process some lawmakers think would be easy under normal circumstances.
And we would be in there about maybe 20-30 minutes and just simply do the business of closing out the session. That would be normal and totally uneventful and not worth your time to cover. I do feel as if it's a waste of time, and I feel as if so much of it is bending to outside pressure.
Republican lawmakers we spoke to yesterday say this is all part of the process for bills both related to the session and not to be discussed, assuring that maps are coming soon. But that's not happening this week. Both the House and Senate have gone home for the weekend. We'll have more on what happened tonight at 5 and 6. So let's talk more about the bill that would ban employers in Arkansas from firing workers for not receiving the COVID-19 vaccine. The proposal would require companies to give employees the option of providing a weekly negative COVID test or proving they still have natural antibodies from a previous infection. The bill would also provide unemployment benefits for anyone who already lost their jobs due to their vaccine status. But not everyone agrees with this, including some from the State Chamber of Commerce.
This is an employee deciding not to comply with reasonable requirements by the business to protect their other employees as well as customers.
I think it's important because the federal government has overreached into the private sector, both on the employee side and on the employer side.
State House and Senate will continue to deliberate on the measure. Of course, we will keep you updated as decisions are made right here on THV11 and thv-at-noon.com. The number of active COVID cases continues to drop gradually in Arkansas. The number of people in the hospital with COVID dropping more sharply. Good news there. There are 31 fewer people in the hospital today fighting the disease. That's according to the latest report from the Arkansas Department of Health. Thursday was the 10th straight day the caseload has gone down. The number of really sick patients on ventilators continues to slide down as well. 8 fewer people using a vent this afternoon. The steady drop in cases is the reason for the pressure coming off of our hospitals. Just a handful, over 1,000 new cases came in on Thursday. Active cases are down again. We haven't seen a rise in that number in 3 weeks. A new court ruling is clearing things up when it comes to schools and mask mandates in Arkansas. The state Supreme Court has decided not to lift the block put on a state law that bans mask mandates in schools. The rule was meant to keep schools and other government bodies from making local mandates. So far this school year, more than 100 districts and charter schools have since put various mask requirements in place. In a statement to THV11, Attorney General Leslie Rutledge called the ruling disappointing, adding that this is just the first step in the appeal, and she will continue to, quote, wholeheartedly defend Arkansas law as this appeal progresses. A possible breakthrough in the treatment of COVID-19, drug maker Merck says early results of an experimental COVID-19 pill are encouraging. Naomi Ruckham has the latest.
Pharmaceutical company Merck is reporting promising results with the experimental COVID-19 drug Molnupiravir. The drug company looked at 775 adults with mild to moderate COVID-19 at high risk for severe disease. The patients who received the antiviral pill took it within 5 days of symptoms.
They were given twice a day Molnupiravir and dramatically, by 50%, reduced hospitalization and death. So an oral pill that works against COVID-19 hospitalization.
Dr. David Agus is a CBS News medical contributor. He says the new pill could be a big step forward because current COVID-19 therapies in the U.S. for non-hospitalized patients require a trip to a medical facility.
We can start to prescribe it to patients rather than them having to come into an emergency room and be given intravenous therapy of an antibody or a shot of an antibody. They can get a pill. And so this certainly makes it much easier to treat, and in the end will probably save many lives.
An independent group of experts recommended to stop Merck's trial because the results are so favorable. The company says it plans to submit its data for FDA review in the coming days. Other companies, such as Pfizer and Roche, are testing similar drugs that could also report results in the coming weeks. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
Earlier results show the drug did not offer benefits for patients hospitalized with severe disease. We were talking about Attorney General Leslie Rutledge a moment ago. On Thursday, she announced her office reached a $15 million settlement with a pharmacy benefit manager. Pharmacy benefit managers, or PBMs as they're known, are the middlemen between health insurance providers and big drugstores. They negotiate prices for all kinds of drugs and medicines. Rutledge says the PBM for the company Centene and CVS essentially defrauded the state of Arkansas and our Medicaid fund.
So what Involve did was sell back the pharmaceuticals to the state of Arkansas under the Medicaid program at a much higher price.
The deal keeps Centene and the PBM involved out of a fraud trial. The $15.2 million will show up in 2 installments, with the first chunk of cash due in 45 days. Lawmakers averted a government shutdown ahead of last night's deadline, but now Democrats are struggling to move forward with 2 bills that are key to President Biden's agenda. Natalie Brand is on Capitol Hill with the very latest.
House Democrats arrived back to the Capitol for a meeting behind closed doors Friday morning ahead of a possible vote today.
We understand that we're going to have to get everybody on board in order to be able to close this deal.
Speaker Nancy Pelosi had hoped to move forward on a $1 trillion bipartisan physical infrastructure bill on Thursday, but negotiations stalled late into the night.
We're laser focused on trying to make sure that we establish universal pre-K, free community college, expanding Medicare. That's what we want to deliver for people, and that's what we're fighting to protect.
Progressives in the House say they're not voting for that bill until an agreement is reached on a proposed $3.5 trillion separate bill for social spending that would fund programs like universal pre-K, an extension of the child tax credit, and paid family leave.
The resolution is not here in this caucus. The resolution is with 2 senators. We have been waiting for an offer to counter the $3.5 trillion that is on the table.
In the evenly divided Senate, Democrats cannot afford to lose a single vote, and moderate Democrats are raising concern about the price tag.
West Virginia's Joe Manchin told reporters Thursday he wants to see a much smaller social spending bill, suggesting a price tag of $1.5 trillion.
I've never linked the 2 bills together, and pray to God that let's look at each bill on its own merits.
Protesters arrived by small boats and kayaks at Manchin's houseboat in Washington, D.C. to voice their frustrations.
If you don't pass this, we're going to they're not going to pass things like this for the people. They're not. This is our chance.
The White House said in a late-night statement they're closer than ever to an agreement, but not quite there yet. Natalie Brent, CBS News, Capitol Hill.